We are back with a new Pathfinders podcast. I'm going to be taking over the hosting duties from Vandor. We appreciate everything that he did up until this point as far as the podcast goes. But he has decided that he is going to turn that over to me, which I like to listen to myself talk, and I like to listen to other people talk too. And I like to have conversations with our members. So it's a pretty good fit to have me do the podcast hosting from now on. But in our episode back, we are joined by Private J Sky, one of our newer members of the unit. And so, Sky, hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Man, I am ready for next week. Next week is Thanksgiving at the time that we're recording this, and I get the whole week off of work. So I am super pumped to not have to worry about being at work for a whole 5 days.
Yeah, that's nice. I only have Thanksgiving and the day after, so.
You gonna go do some Black Friday shopping? Get you some new TVs and some other crap?
No. My wife and I's first 1 year anniversary is actually this Sunday. So we're taking the long weekend. We both have off the same, so we're gonna take
Wait,
the long weekend.
like the 19th?
Yeah.
My anniversary, my 17th anniversary, is actually Saturday, the 18th.
Oh wow. Well,
So that's
congratulations in
you.
advance.
You too, man. I appreciate it. We were married on my mom's 50th birthday, so it's my mom's birthday and our anniversary. So it's kind of a neat day for us and her and our family in general. But that's just really cool that our anniversaries are like a day apart. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a coincidence for sure. I mean, but yeah, it's awesome. So yeah, we're going. I live in the New Jersey area, so we're driving up to the Poconos.
I don't know where that's at, but okay. Is that like
It's
a
like
vacation spot?
Yeah, it's the Pocono Mountains, so it's like 3 hours away ish. It's not
Oh, that's not
terrible.
bad. Yeah, that's not too bad of a
Uh,
drive.
yeah, and I mean it at that time of year, this time of year, it's probably the only place in the area that has any sort of snow whatsoever. So
Ah, okay. Yeah, snow. What's that? I don't know if we get that in Texas every
only
once
little
in a while.
flurries,
Only
little
little
flurries.
flurries every once in a while. It always seems though that every time we have a hurricane hit, like the hurricane will happen in the summer, there's a pretty good chance in the winter we're going to get some kind of serious like ice or snow. It's really weird, but we didn't get hit with a hurricane this year, fortunately. So I'll forego the snow and ice to not get hit by a hurricane and have my house flood. So, but let's just jump right in. You've already answered some of the questions just in this little bit of an opener here. But so tell me, like, who are you and where are you from? Even though you sort of already answered where you're from.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm Josh. This is actually my real name, so I'm Josh. And yeah, I mean I'm from the New Jersey area, or I live in New Jersey area. I moved around a lot when I was a kid, but yeah, I've been back in New Jersey for a while now, over 10 years. I'm young. I'm 31, so but yeah, I've been back in the New Jersey area for over 10 years now. And just moved up to where I am recently, like maybe like a year and a half, 2 years ago. No, it was like a year and a half ago. And yeah, I mean, just just enjoy video games and enjoy hanging out with everybody.
So you've moved around a lot and you're back in New Jersey. Where did you like start? Where were you born? Were you born in New Jersey and like moved out of New Jersey, or were you born
Yeah,
somewhere else and just moved that way?
yeah. So it's full circle. So I was actually born in Trenton, New Jersey, and then moved out to Illinois, specifically Naperville, which is like an hour and a half outside of Chicago,
Hmm.
and then moved to Connecticut, specifically New Milford, which is right outside of Danbury, and then it's that which is southwest Connecticut for anyone who doesn't know, and then moved back to New Jersey again, down in the Cherry Hill area where I stayed there, graduated high school from there, um, and and then moved a little around in New Jersey. After that, I went up to the Princeton area, then went back down to Cherry Hill. Then now I'm back in Bordentown, which is the town south of Trenton.
That's pretty crazy. Was it like military moves or like work from one of your parents, or did y'all just like to pick up and move every so often?
It was my dad. Yeah, my dad changed jobs a lot.
Oh, okay. I've lived in 3 places, all in the same city. So that's it's a very, very different background, but yeah, I that's pretty neat that you've gotten to see and live in so many different places. Is it hard to like when you're a kid, was it hard to like make friends and get like rooted into some kind of like group or anything like that just because there was a possibility you were going to get uprooted and go somewhere else, or did you just have no problem like I mean, you've had no problem fitting in with our group, so I mean, I would assume that you would have no problem fitting in with any group when you were younger too.
It's actually the opposite. So yeah, my childhood was like pretty tough for me because I did move around a lot.
Mhm.
I mean, we can get into this if you want. I will say that
I mean, don't
it,
get too personal. I mean, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but
yeah, I mean,
don't get too personal.
I will say that especially in Connecticut, like that really was rough for me. Like I was very much bullied because I came to Connecticut. Geez, I was probably like third or fourth grade. So I mean, these kids had already like known each other pretty much all their lives. I think I was probably like 9 years old.
Mhm.
Is when I came in. So, and I mean, like I said, we can talk about it if you want, but the bullying very much led me to video games, which then kind of spiraled into a video game addiction. And I mean, it's not like that anymore for sure. I found a balance in my life, especially now that I have a wife and everything. But uh, yeah, that definitely led me to like a video game addiction, and then did some stuff to support that addiction that I'm not proud of. So.
I got you. I got you. We won't have to hash that up. All right. So you got into video games. When did you specifically get into? Let's just sort of like change the gears here and let's get into like your Dodge story. How did you get into Dodge? Like playing David Defeat.
So I'm very much like a 1.3 player for sure. Uh, that was the first day defeat version, I guess I played. Um, that was just like a natural like. So the very first video game I ever played, and I still remember this, is I was over someone's house and he was playing Counter Strike 1.6,
Hmm.
and that's what got me really into FPSs on the computer, and then playing Day Defeat. I think I was probably just browsing the store one day and was just like, "Oh, this game is looks cool." I think at the time it was probably like $15 or whatever, and so I bought it. And then yeah, it was cool. And then that introduced me to realism. I ended up playing on some Unit's realism server, and then the rest is history. I always tried. I tried Source at the time, and I just the difference in gameplay kind of like messed me up,
Hmm.
and I was already in a unit at that time in 1.3, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stick with 1.3.
I got you. See, I had like kind of an opposite effect. It's like I started playing first person shooters with Medal of Honor Allied Assault. Got involved in a group and did all that sort of stuff, and then I was like, hey, and then I found Day of Defeat. I didn't like the first Day of Defeat, like 1.3, 1.6, whatever the 1 point whatever was. I was not a fan of it. I thought the characters were just the movement was too blocky. The weapons weren't that great in my opinion. I really couldn't tell even where I was shooting. I just didn't like the game. But when Source came around, that's what really got me. I really enjoyed the Source version of Day of Defeat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can definitely like if I go play 1.3 now, like it's like, why was I playing this game when Source was
Yeah.
out?
But there's people that still play 1.3 over Source,
Oh
like
yeah, I mean, we found.
consistently.
Yeah, I forget who was here, but we ended up playing like 1.3 here in the unit. Like I think just one night we fucked around on 1.3, found a server, and uh and just played for like an hour. It was, but yeah, apparently also the competition is the the leagues are still in 1.3, which was surprising to me too.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. Every once in a while, we'll do what we call it as a Throwback Thursday event, and Snake set us up a 1.3 server that we fire up and we'll get on and play. And we've done that a few times. I mean, it's a nice little nostalgic uh, trip to the past, but it's not something I want to stay doing. I don't see why people. I mean, I like the amount of weapon choices that you have, but I just didn't like the game. The mechanics just didn't do it for me. So, but that's good. So, first unit, and we'll talk about like source specific now. Like, what was your first realism unit in source? Or if you want to mention the one that you were in Day of Defeat, that's fine too. But like,
So
let's get some unit history here.
so the first one, I guess I'll mention them. The 1.3 unit was 82nd Airborne. Uh, I was in. I think there was one called like the 506 PAR that I was in, but the 82nd Airborne I made it pretty high up. I think I was like a second lieutenant or whatever,
Nice.
and then I think the very first source unit I ever did was actually with Kihas. We did the 10th Mountain Division together,
Oh,
and
okay.
that was back in like 2011, 2012.
I didn't know Key House was in anything other than the seventh, or number seven, or whatever it is.
Yep.
That's pretty neat. So
Yeah, that's how I met Kihas, and he's been on my friends list ever since. And then he was actually the one that got me into this unit.
yeah,
Um, well, actually, I mean, it was technically everybody because you guys were recruiting me pretty hard. But
we
yeah,
tend
I
to
mean,
we tend to do that with people that like join up, connect into Discord, hang out with us, and then we kind of get to know you, and you get to know us, and we're like, hey, we like this guy. We want him to be a part of our group. So yeah, we kind of come on strong a little bit with the
yeah,
recruiting.
it was all good. I mean, I was probably going to join anyway. It was just a timing thing, with my back surgery and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was with Kihas in the 10th MD, and then I mean, so the reason why I stopped 1.3 in general was just because I kind of lost interest in the game.
Hmm.
Uh, so I stopped like for a while, and then I think I did try Source and kind of liked it more than I did than the previous times I tried it. And so then, yeah, so then that's when I joined the 10th MD, and then I was like, I'm kind of losing interest again, and the unit kind of seemed like it was dying a little bit. So like, you know what, this is a good time to go. And then like maybe like a year later, I tried joining the first MRB, and it was just at the time it was just not for me. It was too like strict and uh too too rules heavy and everything, and which is no knock on them. I mean, I don't know if it's like that now. I mean, this was over 10 years ago, so
Yeah, I think 10 years ago, I think everybody was like that in some ways. Like there was a lot more rules. I know, like I got involved in realism probably 6, 7 years ago. I mean, I'm probably the new kid on the block when it comes to realism, and like I was got well, I don't. You can say lucky, unlucky to play in the 6RB and be a member of the 6RB. But it's like even like as few as like 6 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, like you could see that like these groups are still trying to hold on to like these traditions, like these traditions that realism units had, I guess, which I'm assuming from back in the day. I was never part of one. I mainly hung out on the Ego Avalanche 24/7 server before I kind of took a break and then came back. Um, but I just don't think that. I mean, it's
yeah,
2023 now.
yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I mean, part of me definitely would have loved to have been more involved in stores during like I guess the prime years when there were tons of units and everything. But
Oh, me too.
at the
Me
same
too.
at the same time, like I don't know if I could have done the rules at that time and everything. And
Oh, I would have
like,
ate that up. The whole military role playing thing, I would have just ate that up. I would have had so much fun with that if I would have known that it existed back in when I was playing early on and back then I would have just ate it all up.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said for it. Like it's fun for sure. But then I also kind of think there's something to be said for like what it is now, like, more relaxed and more fun playing different games and everything.
Yeah, that's what we like to do. I mean, it's just like that's kind of what we're trying to build here. Is like we just want to play games with our friends at the end of the day. That's what it boils down to. Yeah, so we sort of got started on Dodds, and we can get our shit together when we need to and get serious, like when it comes to scrims and stuff. But for the most part, it's a game. Let's have some fun. There's a few things that we do that some people still consider kind of like from the old days, but some things we do just sort of like it's just I don't know. It's kind of nostalgic in a way, but I don't know. It's just neat. I enjoy it, and so. But I know some of the things we do kind of gives us a bad rap in other parts of the Day of Defeat source community. But give realism a chance. That's all I got to say. Just give realism a chance. We might prove you wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, realism, it's a ton of fun. I mean, 12 Manning for sure has its thing too and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, realism it's a lot of fun and I've always enjoyed it. And I enjoy the camaraderie and everything and getting to know people and all that. So that's what does it for me is like becoming, as close as you can with people you've never met, but getting to know people and everything and just having fun.
Absolutely. That's why I keep showing up every day. All right, so let's pivot again from Dodds, and since your username and your pubber name is Pat's Fan, and it's obvious based on some of the activity in Discord that you're a sports guy. So let's kind of talk about sports a little bit. I'm assuming I'm not the smartest guy when it comes to American football, but Pat's I'm assuming is Patriots, New
Yeah, that
England.
is correct. Yeah.
Okay, so you're a Patriots fan.
Yeah. So I'm a little weird because of from moving around a lot, and my dad. So my dad got me into the Patriots. My dad grew up in Maine. He's New Englander through and through. So his team is the Pats, and that kind of was passed down to me. Um, but so my main three sports are hockey, football, baseball is my main three that I follow. I mean, I dabble like in like Formula One and stuff like that, but yeah, those are my main three. So, yeah, Patriots is my football team. Um, Baseball is the Yankees because when I moved to Connecticut, that was like Yankees heyday. And then um, the Flyers are my hockey team because I didn't really get into hockey until I moved to New Jersey.
I've been to one hockey game. That's it. Well, we used to have a hockey team here in a town over, and I went to a couple of those games, but they were like a minor league, I think. I don't know if that's how that works in hockey, but they were not like NHL. But I've been to one NHL game. I was lucky enough to go up to Dallas and hang out with Rhodey for a day, and he took me to a hockey game. I mean, it's hockey's neat. I'm just too old to keep up with the puck.
It's
especially,
fast. Yeah, it's
especially if you're watching it on TV. I don't know where it's at. I just like I have no clue. Oh, we took a shot. Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't even know.
yeah, it's fast, and unfortunately, the arenas a lot of the way that a lot of them are set up are not conducive to TV.
Hmm.
Uh, and the puck's very small, so when you're, I mean, you can get as big a TV as you want. I mean, you're still gonna have trouble following the puck sometimes because it's so fast. The game is so fast, and you don't realize how fast it is until you actually see a game in person.
I mean, the only thing I knew about hockey, I learned from the Mighty Ducks movies. Not gonna lie.
Best
And
hockey movies of all time.
and like I was like when I came home from the weekend with Rhodey, and we saw hockey live, I was like, okay, well, I'll give this a shot. And so it's like I'll kind of watch it on TV. It's like the dudes with their pads, they look so huge, and the rink is it called the rink? The rink looks so small with all those guys and their big huge pads in, and it's like, how does anybody have any room to do anything? I just don't know. I just don't know. But
Wait, watch an international game. Watch like if you watch the Olympics or they have like the World Championships for hockey every year or
mhm.
the World Juniors. The international ice is wider. It's the same length, but it's wider by a good amount. It's enough to where the game style changes, and like guys that like goalies that come over from Europe and stuff and from international rinks, it's a huge adjustment for them.
Oh, okay. So it's just like NHL rinks are the ones that are just kind of a little bit more constrained.
Yeah, the NHL rinks they're not as wide.
Well,
It's
yeah, they needed to fit more butts in chairs to earn more money.
exactly, but no, like the KHL is like super popular, and SHL is super popular in Sweden. It's a global sport for sure. I mean, it's focused in Europe mostly. I mean, you're not really going to get hockey in South America, but uh, like Japan has a hockey team.
Neat. I didn't realize that hockey was. I mean, I knew that there's like the Olympics, but I didn't know it was like that popular, like all over the world. I mean,
Well,
in
it's
my
not.
head, in my head, the only thing anybody watches outside of America is like soccer. But
Yeah, I was
it's
gonna say it's not soccer popular level, but it's definitely popular. I mean, the the guy Adam Johnson who just passed away, I mean, rest in peace. He was playing in England, so
yeah. Well, that's good. So Flyers, Yankees, and the Patriots.
yeah, it's a weird combination. Everybody always is like, "How'd you get that?" And then I explain it to them, and they're like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Well, I mean, you've got people that live across the country, but the 49ers are their team, or they call the Cowboys America's team. So I mean, so
Yeah,
you can live anywhere and be a fan of something. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
no, I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, I'm in a weird area too, so like both the Flyers and the New Jersey Devils who play up in Newark, they're both like an hour and change away from me. 45 minutes if I don't hit any traffic. Uh, so it's a weird area where I can choose which game I want to go to. So whichever team is playing the worst, like if I'm just in the mood for a hockey game, whichever team is playing the worst will have the cheaper tickets, and that's the one I go to.
Okay, so you do get to go to games a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So like last year, my wife and I we splurged a little bit. We bought um the Flyers have like a 11 game package, and so we bought like the weekend package, and we went to like 7, 8 games last year.
Oh, nice. But that was a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
it was a lot of fun, and I mean it was a little pricey because the Flyers have this delusion that they're still a playoffs team, so they're charging like a playoff team, which is why we didn't do it this year because the prices actually went up again.
Mm,
But last year, yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. My wife's Colombian, so she had never been to a hockey game. Didn't even really know what hockey was until she met me, and
okay,
so it was fun taking her to her first games, and she's gotten into it too.
nice. Well, according to Vandor, rumor has it Houston, which is I guess the closest biggest town to me, may be getting a hockey team. So
Yeah,
uh,
they're looking into expansion. So I mean the big push is for Quebec City because you know it's Canada. But yeah, Houston. I mean, you guys have the Dallas Stars, so I don't, and they're successful. So I don't see why the Houston team wouldn't be.
well, sports seems to do well in Houston. Period. I mean, you got the Astros, the Texans, and some people go to the Dynamo games. So I don't, and their population's so huge. I don't think adding a soccer team or a hockey team will be too difficult for Houston to support. To be honest with you, so it'll be
Hey,
interesting. Maybe I could go to some games.
yeah, I mean, I bet the Rocket Arena could probably the NBA team would definitely be able to support an NHL team. So you got a stadium already.
That's true. All right, so let's wrap this up. One of the things that Van Dor likes to do is he always likes someone to come and tell a joke. So I like that too. So we're going to continue that tradition. So give me your best uh, unit rules appropriate joke that you got.
Okay. So this is my favorite joke, and it always gets a laugh out of everyone. It's a little long, so I apologize in advance, but
I
it's
promise you,
fun.
it's not going to be as long as Roadies.
Okay, so there's this guy named Dave, and Dave was bragging to his boss one day. You know, I know everyone there is to know. Just name someone, anyone, and I know them. So he's going on about this, and his boss finally gets tired of his bragging. So he decides to call his bluff, and he says, "Okay, Dave, how about Tom Cruise?" And Dave says, "Sure, boss. Tom and I are old friends, and I can prove it." So Dave and his boss fly out to Hollywood and knock on Tom Cruise's door, and Tom Cruise shouts, "Dave, what's happening? Great to see you. Come on in for a beer." And so his boss is impressed, but he's not fully convinced. You know, it could be a coincidence. And so after they leave Cruise's house, he tells Dave, you know, he thinks him knowing Tom Cruise was just lucky. And Dave says, no, just name anyone else. And his boss says, okay, President Biden. And Dave says, yeah, sure, old buddies, let's fly out to Washington. And so they go. And so at the White House, they're doing the tour, and Biden spots Dave, and he motions him and his boss over and says, "Hey, Dave, what a surprise! I was just on my way to a meeting, but why don't you come on in and let's have a beer first and catch up?" So now his boss is a little like, maybe this guy is being serious, and so he's not totally convinced. So he's like, "Who's the one guy he can't possibly know?" And so after they leave the White House, he expresses his doubts to Dave, and who again says, "Name anyone." And the boss says, "The Pope." And Dave says, "Sure, I've known the Pope for years." So off they go to Rome. And Dave and his boss are with the masses at the Vatican's square, and Dave says, "This will never work. He'll never see me with all these people. Tell you what, I know all the guards, so let me just go upstairs and I'll come out on the balcony with the Pope." And so he disappears into the crowd, headed towards the Vatican. And sure enough, half hour later, Dave emerges with the Pope on the balcony. And by the time Dave returns, he finds that his boss has had a heart attack, and he's surrounded by all these paramedics. And he makes his way to his boss's side, and Dave asks him what happened. And his boss looks up and says, "I couldn't take it anymore. You and the Pope came out on the balcony, and the man next to me said, 'Who the fuck is that on the balcony with Dave?'"
Now that's a turn that I was not expecting. That's so funny.
Yeah, it's long, but it's my favorite joke. It always gets a laugh out of people.
It's got a great setup and a great ending. I love it. That's classic. That's so funny. Well, dude, I appreciate it. I appreciate you being, I guess, my first guest as I take over this podcast. It's been great getting to know you since you joined our unit, a couple months ago, 2, 3 months ago. I'll have to pull your file to know the exact date, but I'm sure Elf could tell me. He knows all the things. But it's like I said, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. We really enjoy having you as part of our community, and I appreciate your time sitting down with me tonight and having this conversation to share with everybody else.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun so far, a couple months now, and I've really enjoyed getting to know everyone in the community and getting back into things. I hadn't done realism for a while, so it's been a lot of fun.
Nice. All right. Well, that's it for us for this month. We'll see you next month with the next Pathfinders podcast. See you later.
See ya.